Hello, everyone. Welcome to this class in the clinical terms from Top TCM Experts series. The series is organized by the World Chinese Medicine Forum and hosted by Tianjiang Pharmaceutical, Hero Now, and the Treasure of the East. Tonight's session is co-chaired by the New York College of Traditional Chinese Medicine and co-hosted and supported by the American Society of Acupuncturists, as well as 20 partner organizations and colleges, shown on your screen now. We are so honored to have Dr. Li Xinglao join us to share his knowledge about development of acupuncture for pain management in clinical care and research in the United States. I'm Yemen Chen, the president of the New York College of Traditional Chinese Medicine. I'm also joined by Dr. Bing Xu, my long-term colleagues and senior instructor in our college, and he's the director of Continuing Education Department. Dr. Xu, please tell you a little bit about yourself.
Hi, this is Dr. Bing Xu. I'm the colleague of Dr. Yemen Chen. We have worked together for the college almost 25 years old, but 25 years. So I'm the director of the Continuing Education Department, also clinical supervisor of the college. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful evening. Enjoy Dr. Lao's lecture.
Good evening, everybody. So first of all, let me thank the World Chinese Medicine Forum for the invitation and the opportunity to share my thoughts, and also thank the co-event chair, Dr. Yemen Chen and Dr. Bing Xu, for your invitation. Thank you very much. And let me start to share my screen.
Okay, Dr. Lao. So I think that Dr. Xu has something to announce also.
Oh, okay,
Dr.
sorry.
Xu.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'll introduce Dr. Lao, right?
No, before we start, the words before we start.
Okay, so everybody, please shut down your microphone, turn your video on. If you can change your name from the the name list. Somehow the technology issue, everybody use the same name. If you like, change the name. In the end of lecture, the link to sign in the sheet we'll share in the chat box. Please complete it fully and accurately, so that for your continuing education credit requirement. We'll have a last 30 minutes to be reserved for the question. If you have a question, you can put a question on the chat room, so we can answer the question accordingly. Okay, Dr. Chen.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Xu. So I'm now excited to introduce Dr. Li Xinglao. Dr. Lao is the president of the Virginia University of Integrative Medicine, as well as the vice president of the World Federation of Acupuncture and Marxist Societies. Dr. Lao's contribution to the field, including serving as editor-in-chief of Journal of Integrative Medicine and publishing over 300 scientific research papers. He was awarded the Qi Huang International Award by the China Association of Chinese Medicine, as well as the chief executive of Commendation of Community Service in recognition of his contribution to the development of Chinese medicine in Hong Kong. With that, welcome Dr. Li Xinglao. Please.
Okay. Thank you. So I skipped the part. I go straight to my talk. So my topic, as you can see, the acupuncture in pain management. I talk about research and clinical implication. Okay, let me start first. So today's learning objective will be the first introduce some background of Chinese medicine or acupuncture and pain, and also introduce acupuncture development in the United States. Also, would like to introduce acupuncture clinical trials have been published, some important publication associated with acupuncture for pain management. And also would like to discuss how acupuncture works, what the mechanisms of action of acupuncture in pain management. And finally, if I have time, we can discuss some challenges in acupuncture research and methodology. So let me start with a case that a couple of years ago when I worked in the University of Maryland in the medical center. So I just want to briefly introduce the case. This case is about pain management. The notes from the Johns Hopkins rheumatologist. That's 3-4 pages long notes are just condensed into one page, one slide for your for folks to discussion. So the patient was the Miss K, the 22-year-old woman who presents to the rheumatology clinic in Johns Hopkins Hospital for her polyarticular inflammatory arthritis. And she began to note chronic pain, swelling, and stiffness in the knee bilaterally at the age of 18. So it was 4 years already. The symptoms being worse lately and progressively spread to her right thumb at the interphalangeal and metacarpophalangeal joints, as well as the shoulders, hips bilaterally. So you can see multiple joints involved and suffering from the 4 years of the pain. After initial relief with a local corticosteroid injection, she developed fatigue, irritability, malaise, and persistent pain. And she was diagnosed as rheumatoid arthritis, okay, by the rheumatologist. So she was also a student in the Johns Hopkins, a PhD student, and suffered from the pain, which is difficult for her to perform academic study. So she take almost like 7-8 different medication for pain control and for inflammation. You can see this. The patient is referred to the complementary medicine program in the University of Maryland Medical Center, which is me. So here are my notes. I also summarized. So for treating Chinese medicine clinic. Ms. K is a 22-year-old woman who is referred by a rheumatologist in division of rheumatology at Johns Hopkins Hospital. The major symptom patient has is persistent multiple joint pain. The pain moves from joint to another joint. Accompanying symptoms including anxiety, sleep disorder, acne, irregular menstruation with cramping, and also with in the period with blood clots. And she feels coldness in hands and feet. And tendinous is very red color with little coating. And the pulse diagnosis was thready and string taut, deep in the kidney position. So my differentiation was the B syndrome, which is the wandering B. The pain will move from place to place with the underlying kidney and liver kidney deficiency. So based on this differentiation, then I decided the treatment principle to promote the flow of qi and alleviate the pain, and to address the underlying disorder, we nourish the liver and kidney yin. So treatment plan uses both acupuncture and herbal medicine. Acupuncture treatment was given the points GB 20 to 24, large intestine 4, 11, GB 34, 39, spleen 6, liver 3, kidney 3, and extra points by in the hands. We use electrostimulation 10 Hertz for 20 minutes. And patient was treated twice a week in the beginning for 4 weeks, then reduced down to once a week. And then herbal and formula also was prescribed for the patient. Now, 7 months later, the doctor also sent me another follow-up notes, and she had been following with her rheumatologist. So this 7 months later, rheumatologist wrote in this note, Ms. K returned to the follow-up to the rheumatology clinic at Johns Hopkins Hospital. She stated that on an aggressive program of acupuncture therapy in Chinese herbal medicine, she has resumed her usual activities and tolerates stress of her upcoming academic examinations well. The patient denies joint acheness or stiffness. She is otherwise without constitutional complaints. And Chinese herbal medicine for promotion of the sleep and regulation of her menstruation, as well as acupuncture treatment every 1 to 2 weeks. The patient only used the Naproxen topical cream for her left thumb, and all the joints pains gone. So the assessment, the rheumatologist said Ms. K appears to do extremely well on the program centered on Chinese medicine modalities for the management of her asymptomatic inflammatory polyarthritis. So if we notice the diagnosis change because all the blood tests also show them more normal. So he cannot determine whether this is still rheumatoid arthritis. Okay, so this is the interesting case I just want to share with you. Okay, we start the first session about the background of it, because we discussed the case, but also we want to go back to see where the acupuncture come from, how can be developed in the United States and West. So here I want to show you the galaxy. So of the from the telescope. Okay, we cannot see from naked eyes. If we can see the shape of the galaxy, is that the S-shaped. Then if we look at, okay, this Milky Way galaxy, okay. Then also recently discovery of the so-called gravitational wave, okay. If we see also S-shaped, and also you see the photo from the Guardians also show the model of this gravitational wave. So why I mention this is because the next picture, you can see the yin-yang symbol we use all the time for the TCM practice. So then it's so coincident that the shape of the yin-yang symbol is also S-shaped, very similar to galaxy. So we don't know the ancient doctor, how they figure out the yin-yang symbol, the coincidence with the universal. So this also indicates the yin-yang symbol. The philosophy underneath the yin-yang symbol is also important. You can see the philosophy said we produce one produces two produces three, and three produces universal. So this is all about yin and yang balance that produce everything in the universal. So the body is part of universal and also part of the also contain yin and yang for balance. So then after this, then we discuss several legendary figures in the history of the Chinese medicine. The Fu Xi is the first one we want to mention. It's the concept of yin yang. The people who use his name as the first to initiate. He lived about 5,000 years ago, and he developed the Bagua. You can see here yin and yang. Although Bagua developed much later than his age, but the people use his name. So this Bagua yin yang actually really means 8 different directions. And top of the heaven, low is the earth, and the heaven is yang, lots of yang there, and earth is yin, lots of yin. And between this, gradually from yang to yin, and the left side it goes up from yin yang, from yin to yang. Okay, so that's how original yin yang symbol come from. Okay. Then another legendary figure is called Shen Nong. Shen Nong is more associated with the herbal medicine. Okay, so he very well-known book called Shen Nong Ben Cao, which is his name as the author of the book. And the third one is very well-known person is Huang Di, or the Yellow Emperor. Yellow Emperor also lived 3,000 years ago. He believed is the founder of the Chinese medicine, and one of the book called Huang Di Neijing, or the Yellow Emperor in the classic. Most of all the Chinese medicine practitioners have learned this. So this book, 2 volumes, one called Ling Su and one called the Su Wen. So book written about 2,000 years ago by multiple authors, but they all use the name of Yellow Emperor as the author. And this Su Wen is mainly talk about the principle of the TCM, the concept of TCM, and the Lin Su discuss about the treatment, acupuncture points, acupuncture, the herbal medicine treatment for patients. Then actually Lin Su written earlier than Su Wen, but in the order they usually put the Su Wen first. Okay. So then also these book also discussed about the treatment modality of Chinese medicine. So these at least 5 different modalities. The acupuncture become very, very popular in United States and the West, and the herbal medicine still very popular in the Asian country like China, Korea, and Japan. So they all use lots of herbal medicine. Other treatment like Asian body work, Tuina, for example, manipulation also very popular. And then these 3 mainly provide the providers to give the treatment for patients. And also Chinese medicine very much emphasize encourage the patient to participate of treatment by themselves. They use the mind-body exercise like Qigong, Tai Chi, and or help their recover from the illness. And also we discuss about the dietary therapy, and we give advice, and patient can cook the certain food with some medicine with the food. So this is the ancient Ming Dynasty. There's a literature and the book mention about the acupuncture and the meridians. They discuss the meridian like the qi and blood circulation in the meridians. I'll just show you quickly. Then also we know about Mark's passion service stimulation of the use the needle or acupressure or heat thermal stimulation in the body at acupuncture points. Cupping also one of the type of the acupuncture treatment, and very often use the cup. Now it's widely used in the sports medicine and for the sports field actually. And the Chinese herbal medicine is almost like an art. You see, very beautiful, and you have make a formula, consider all the very nice composition of this formula for the different individual patients. And also traditionally, we always cook the herb as decoction and make a tea, and patient can drink. But now modern society, many herbal company, they make the extraction from the herb, or they make capsules or make the powder or granular to more convenient for the patient. And in Chinese medicine, about the pain is more about the stagnation. Okay, the pain in the TCM concept is a blockage of free flow of the qi in the meridians. So also means the qi stagnation, the pain same as qi stagnation. If blockage cause the pain, if unblock, pain gone. A very well-known phrase in TCM. Okay, second part, I would like to introduce about acupuncture developed in the United States. So I will introduce a couple periods and a couple milestones. So the periods I summarize into 4 different periods. So first period, exploratory period, back to 1826, a long time ago, almost, in a couple of years will be exactly 200 years. Now 2022, so 4 more years we can celebrate 200 years of the acupuncture started in the United States. From 1826 to 1971 is exploratory period. And the second period called pre-regulatory period from 1971 to 1982. Then the third period called developmental and regulatory period from 1982 to 2020. And 2022 individual, I will explain to you why we label 2022 as the 4th period that we call expansion and accessibility period. So let me explain to you each period. Okay, first we mentioned about 1826 as the first starting the first period. This because the first paper published, the clinical observation published by Dr. Franklin Bake, who was the doctor in the prison. He treated a patient, a prisoner with musculoskeletal pain, and published his observation in the North American Medical and Surgical Journal. Okay, so I got this paper from the National Library of Health there and make a Xerox. So in his observation after his treatment, he very surprised that a significant effect of acupuncture. And in conclusion of his paper, he said, my impression is that acupuncture possesses the remarkable power in removing and mitigating pain. Okay. So this is the first paper observation on acupuncture clinical trial. Okay. So you see multiple patients, about 10, 20 patients. So then in 1971, now before 1971, after the Dr. Bake is not very quiet, only maybe in Chinatown in certain area, not very popular. Until 1971, when the President Nixon visited China, and one of the New York Times reporter wrote up about his experience with acupuncture treatment for his post-operative pain following surgery in China was for appendicitis. So then since then, it become bigger wave, very hot wave in the United States. Every doctor start to use acupuncture for different conditions. And that time, many acupuncture textbooks have been translated into English. And also lots of delegation went to China to observe in China how acupuncture being practiced. So this open heart surgery and the acupuncture anesthesia in Shanghai in 1974, so very well known. So that time, until that time, lots of it's not very well regulated, not much license because every physician can use it. But in 1972, then there's lots of regulation and lots of schools or council also established many schools to teach acupuncture, and many states one by one gradually established the board of acupuncture. So now at least 45 states have their statutes for regular acupuncture practice. And other 5 states, they also allowed acupuncture practice, but it must be under the supervision of the physician, where's the medical doctor. So this is how it developed. So then in 2020, the federal programs such as the Medicare begin to cover acupuncture. This is remarkable because before that, before 2020, there's no any federal agent cover acupuncture. So since 2020, January, Medicare covers acupuncture for 12 treatments for 1 year, every year for 12 treatments. And more accessibility for patients. Many hospitals, they accept acupuncture to practice in their hospital. So there are a couple milestones of acupuncture developed in the United States. In 1974, if we remember, 1971, acupuncture became popular, but the FDA then get involved, then said labeled acupuncture as an investigation device, means you only can use acupuncture for the research or investigational device. But 20 years later, in 1994, NIH, National Institute of Health, and Office of Alternative Medicine and FDA together held a workshop on acupuncture. So then they listened, the hearing to see what's evidence of acupuncture for the treatment of different disease. Then 2 years later, 1996, FDA decided to reclassify acupuncture needle as the medical device. Now, since then, acupuncture become mainstream medicine. Okay, they can be used by any hospital, any physicians since 1996. Then 1 year later, in 1997, NIH held a consensus conference, the Consensus Development Conference on acupuncture. So this is also remarkable, the inference for the practice of acupuncture. And also I mentioned earlier, 2020 acupuncture further developed to cover the low back pain by Medicare. So mentioned about the 1997 NIH Consensus Conference. By the way, I fortunately to join these both meetings in 1994 FDA hearing and 1997 NIH Consensus Conference. So this conference says very clear, the statement in conclusion of the conference, they said the clear promising evidence show that acupuncture can help to adult post-operative pain. And for post-operative operative dental pain and nausea and vomiting. Also very lots of promising evidence show the acupuncture can help with the menstrual cramps, tennis elbow, fibromyalgia, arthritis, headache, carpal tunnel syndrome, and low back pain, tendinitis. However, there's a difference between the two is because even though the positive evidence shows acupuncture works, but however, the research methodology should need to be tied up to be more rigorous for scientific evaluation. So since then, from 1997, now if we go to the PubMed search acupuncture paper, randomized clinical trial was more than 3,000 acupuncture paper published in the English literature. So then also a survey by different institutes. The 1997 survey by Harvard Medical School, David Eisenberg, he found that every 1,000 people, population of 27 people will visit acupuncture clinic a year. But 10 years later, NIH National Institute of Health also launched a survey. They found that the number increased almost three times, 79 the patients visit every 1,000 people visit acupuncture clinic at that time. But this is not only one evidence. We are also, there's lots of surveys from the different researchers. They made a survey, they found acupuncture patients increase every year, gradually increase, linear going up. And also the American Hospital Association also made a survey. In 1998, they made a survey, they found every 100 hospital, about 8.6 hospitals provide so-called alternative and complementary medicine, which most they provide acupuncture service. And 10 years later, they made another survey, same survey by the same organization. They found more than double of the hospital. Every 100 hospital, they have 20 to almost 21 hospital provide such service. So then also from other source that 2010 Health Forum Complementary Alternative Medicine Survey of hospital, they found 42% of hospital in the United States offer complementary medicine, which provide acupuncture as outpatient service. And also other survey from the NCCOM website, they find most popular 6 modalities used in acupuncture used in American hospital. Acupuncture is ranked number 2, second, and the number 1 is massage, and second is acupuncture. 42% patients want to get a treatment for acupuncture. So since 1997, you can see NIH funding give the research funding to support acupuncture also increased dramatically. You see, lots of funding to study. In the results, lots of research paper have been published. So now, Asian, since I talked so far, we know acupuncture have a long history and have been very successfully treated many population in China, Asian country, and also in the United States. But Chinese medicine is considered an Asian healing art. However, many questions raised that is scientific evidence should acupuncture really scientific or not. So let me spend a few minutes to introduce as whether acupuncture is scientific or not. So here the acupuncture clinical evidence on patient on pain. So here I want to introduce the couple the paper. So this one is published by us, by my team in the University of Maryland in 2004. We just published in the Annals of Internal Medicine, acupuncture for the adjunct therapy for arthritis of the knee. Okay, then this study has 3 groups, and one is the acupuncture group, one is the sham acupuncture group as a placebo control group, and a third group for education and attention control group as the positive control. Because in other studies show this also works, can help patients with exercise, with diet control. They can have decreased pain in arthritis. So the acupuncture group and sham acupuncture, they have come to clinic twice a week for 8 weeks, then followed by the once a week for another week, 2 weeks, then every other week for another 4 weeks, and once a month for another 4 weeks. Okay. Then the points we use, because at that time, scientifically, they not allow to variation for different patients at different points. We decide to cover all the aspects. So the knee pain, very common, they have either the pain in the front of the knee or medial side of the knee or lateral side of the knee. So we decide to choose the point in the front with stomach 36 and the CM. And also in the medial side with spleen number 9, and the lateral side was used gallbladder 34. And also we try to cover the TCM point of view, which is in elderly people. Usually osteoarthritis mainly occurred in the elderly people. So they may probably have kidney and liver deficiency. So we use the spleen 6 and kidney 3 in the local. And also we use the distal point for around the meridians, which is the bladder number 60 and GB 39. So we cover 9 points, cover the medial side, the lateral side, and front. And stomach 36 all can enhance the energy. So the patient blind, they don't see what's happened in the knee area, and we connect the electrical stimulation for the patient. So in the end, we ask the patient, do they know what treatment they received? They cannot tell. So the results, you see WOMAC pain score, you see the purple line is the top of the education group. They slightly improved, the pain decreased from 9, decreased slightly, but not as much as the other 2 groups. The middle line, black line, is the sham acupuncture treatment group. And the third one is the red color, is the true acupuncture treatment. So you can see after 8 treatment, the 14 follow-up. Actually, 8 weeks, they also show difference, but not statistically. But at week 14, they show a p-value smaller than 0.005, small 5, p-value equal to small 0.003, very significant. So this trend continuously to the end of the trial, 26 weeks later. The acupuncture is significantly better than sham control. This is the pain score. If we look at the function score, you can see at 8-week acupuncture group has significantly improved the function compared to the sham control. And continuously at the week 14, week 26, they all significantly improved function compared to sham control. P equal to 0.009. You can see very significant. Okay, other study I want to introduce you by Shanghai in China. They use a similar concept, also involved this team. They use the moxibustion, conduct a double-blind placebo control, okay, for the knee arthritis. So this they developed by Dr. Bai Xiaozao in Beijing University of the TCM department of in the School of the Acupuncture. He developed the placebo moxa. Okay, you can see in the left side, the real moxa, when you stick on the surface, the bottom of the moxa cone has a hole there, so the heat will go through the hole to the points. But the placebo sham moxa, they've sealed, and the bottom there's no hole, so the heat won't go emit the acupuncture point. So how they make. However, this can be a double blinded because patient cannot tell from outside, and the practitioner not allowed to look at the bottom. So they only practice service because we have a second assistant to watch the practitioners when they put the moxa onto the patient. They're not allowed to look at the bottom of the moxa. So here what it looks like, sham acupuncture, and from outside, you cannot really tell any difference. So, but actually the degree of the thermal stimulation to the points is very different. The sham have slightly warm, but not as much warm. So results is show the red line active moxibustion, red color, and the blue color is sham placebo control. If you see after 6 weeks of treatment, the pain really decreased in the acupuncture group significantly compared to sham control, and continuously week 12, which is the treatment stopped, completing of treatment at week 6. The follow-up still remains improved, and a half year later, it still remains improved. So p-value smaller than 0.01, that's very significant. So the function, they also showed the week 12, they showed the function improved significantly compared to the sham control. Then another study published by a German the research group by Mausberg, their group, by a group of the orthopedic doctor. So they used the randomized clinical trial as a programmatic study. So they want to determine whether traditional Chinese acupuncture is effective alternative to conventional orthopedic treatment for chronic shoulder pain. So the paper published in the well-known journal called Pain. So the study divided the patient into 3 groups. One, the real acupuncture group, 154 patients, and sham acupuncture, 135 patients, and conventional orthopedic therapy, which is they give lots of treatment. I will show you later. Then this is a multi-centered clinical trial and randomized by computer, and patient was blinded to the treatment assignment. So here you can see how they treat patient. So acupuncture group, they provide 15 treatments within 6 weeks, okay, about twice a week. And each time lasts 20 minutes. They use the local treat points in the shoulder area and distal points around the meridians. Then sham acupuncture use the 15 treatments as well, but they mainly put needle in the shallow insertion in the leg area, not in the shoulder area. The conventional orthopedic therapy, they use the treatment with the Western 50 milligram diclofenac of diflucanet every day. And also they use a physical therapy, physical exercise, heat and cold therapy, ultrasonic therapy, and test unit. They can use whatever they can available. Okay. So then the points they publish in the paper can say they can select. Unlike the study I mentioned earlier, we also did, they allow you, they call programmatic study, more similar to clinical practice. They can choose the points in the front or back or side. They can choose different points. Large testing 14, 15, 14, Sanjiao number 14, and around the meridians. Okay. Then the sham acupuncture, they mainly in the leg area, which is not on the meridians or points. Okay. But the acupuncture treatment also use distal point as well. They mentioned in the stomach 38, gallbladder 34, and bladder 58. So the results, they show the results as if we have 50% of pain reduction, they're considered responder. They count towards the chart. Okay, so the red color is the acupuncture group, and the yellow color is the sham acupuncture, and the green color is the conventional orthopedic therapy. So direct means right after treatment, after 15 treatment, they measure pain. If the patient have 50% of pain reduction, they count towards in this bar. So you can see after treatment, about almost 70% of patients said they have the pain, 50% of pain reduction. And sham acupuncture only had less than 40% of pain reduction. And the green, which is conventional orthopedic therapy, on less than 30% of pain reduction, 50% of pain reduction. But interestingly, after the finish of treatment, 3 months later, they asked patient the same question again. They found the acupuncture group, they still have about over almost 65% of the patients still have 50% of pain reduction. But the sham acupuncture worse. They cannot sustain. They only 20% of the pain patient has 50% of pain reduction. And conventional orthopedic, not too much, slightly improved, but not as much as the acupuncture group. So it's very significant. It's P very small, m 0.001 compared to sham or conventional orthopedic therapy. It's a very interesting study. So then this all talk about a chronic condition, chronic pain. So what about the acute? Also study published by a Korean research group in Korea. They try to use acupuncture to treat acute low back pain. So they use the motion style of acupuncture for the acute low back pain. For severe the disability, it's also multi-centered randomized controlled trial. Okay, so they randomized the patient into 2 groups. because the acute pains are not easy to recruit patients. They have only 58 patients, 29 patients in each group. So the control group, they use the commonly used the routine, the management of pain. They use in the emergency room, they use diclofenac injection after when the patient comes to the emergency room. Then they give one treatment, only one treatment for acupuncture. They call motion style acupuncture. Then the outcome they measure, the primary outcome is the pain scale, numerical scale from 0 to 10, about the pain, okay, after 30 minutes after the treatment. Then they also measure disability index, 30 minutes and 2 weeks and 4 weeks and 24 weeks after treatment. Remember the treatment only one time, only in the emergency room, but the follow-up up to half a year. So they find that, this is how they conducted the study. They used the 3 points, but 5 needles only. So they have 2 assistants hold the patient in the middle. Okay, they support the patient to prevent the falling down. So then they put the 5 needles in the GV16 in the back of the head, and bilaterally liver number 2 between big toe and second toe, and large intestine 11 in the elbow area. So they leave the needle in the body while they ask the patient to walk, go back and forth walking, and the 2 assistants will be support the patient to make sure not fall down. So the same as the conventional medicine, they inject the medication and ask the patient also walk around. They hold, support the patient. It's a motion very commonly practiced in TCM for acute back pain. We often ask the patient to move the band or move the joint so we can open the joint. So let's look at the results. The results are very interesting. Find out that the numerical pain after the treatment, the acupuncture group decreased 3.12 more than the injection group, more. The both groups pain decreased, but the acupuncture group decreased more, 3 point more. So p-value is more than 0.000, very significant, okay, percentage. Okay, so there's pain. For disability index, they find out the acupuncture group have 32% more improvement compared to the injection group. Okay, p is more than 0.0001. Okay, and they find out significantly improved. Then also interesting, they follow up with 2 weeks and 4 weeks later. They still find the acupuncture group have better outcome, better the disability and more movement compared to the sham control, the Western medicine control group. Okay, so concluding that acupuncture can be a positive effect on the immediate pain relief and the functional recovery of the acute low back pain with severe disability. Okay, that's the conclusion. So this also published in the journal called Pain. So the other one, this all individual studies. So what's about the meta-analysis? Meta-analysis means you put lots of studies together. Some study may be positive, some study may be negative, maybe not acupuncture, maybe not as bad as sham control. So then we have to use the called meta-analysis or systematic review to put all data together. So this is conducted by Angel Vicker, who in the New York Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. He is a statistician. He conducted a study for acupuncture for chronic pain. So the study include 29 different trials, including 18,000 people. It's the largest sample. So here the summary. See here they look at the acupuncture compared to placebo, sham control. So in 4 aspects of the chronic pain, for arthritic pain, chronic headache, musculoskeletal pain, which is neck pain and lower back pain, as well as shoulder pain. They put together so many studies. So you can see the forest plot. You can see that the diamond all fall into the acupuncture bad side. It's not for the left side. If for left side, make acupuncture worse. So then also these diamond not touch the middle line, so which is significantly improved. The distance far away from the middle line means the more significant. The difference between acupuncture and the effect of acupuncture size. The effective size of acupuncture is much bigger. Okay. So the all is for arthritis and chronic headache, you see, and musculoskeletal pain and the shoulder pain, all significantly bigger compared to sham control. Okay, so recently another study, very well-known study, published in a very well-known journal called JAMA, which is Journal of American Medical Association. They are the official journal for this association in 2018. This study published by Columbia University. They want to see whether acupuncture can help one of the side effects of the cancer therapy. The side effect of joint pain associated with aromatase inhibitor for a woman with early stage of breast cancer. They found that these women suffer from lots of side effects with side effect, even though the medication can help them to prevent reoccurring of the breast cancer, but lots of patients cannot tolerate the pain. So they want that, but also they cannot give lots of medication because they don't want to have the interaction between the pharmaceutical interaction between Western medicine and the chemotherapy or aromatase inhibitor. So they don't want to see where the acupuncture can help. This the results show from different aspects. The treatment 6 weeks right after treatment. Then for 12 weeks means that when they finish the treatment, they follow up another 6 weeks. And she had the worst pain and the average pain, pain interference, and pain severity from different aspects of the pain. They're all significant. I highlight the yellow color as long as the yellow all p-value smaller than 0.06. So all very 0.05. So results in a statistically significant reduction in joint pain at 6 weeks. So this is a very powerful journal, also very powerful the paper and large sample size. So then also more recently in 2021, just last year, also published JAMA Oncology archive. They found acupuncture auricular acupuncture or electric acupuncture can help the usual care or compare the usual care for chronic musculoskeletal pain among cancer survivors. So in recent years, more and more acupuncture being used for cancer patients to try to help cancer. So here the results show the yellow color in the top of the usual care, and then acupuncture, electric acupuncture or auricular acupuncture, both in the line. There is no difference between the two. Electric acupuncture slightly improved compared to the auricular acupuncture, but both improved significantly. Okay, in the results, because the acupuncture very much can help the patient with cancer now, and the most of them, if not all, the cancer center in the United States all provide acupuncture service for the patient. So this is the Maurice Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, well known in the New York City. So if we look at the website, at the bottom you see the acupuncture as one of service they provide for the patient. Then also if we look at another University of Texas, MD Anderson Cancer Center, they are also very well-known cancer center. Also in their website, acupuncture is one of the option modality for their service. So then look at Johns Hopkins in Baltimore, they also provide the same service. They not only acupuncture, also Chinese medicine, acupuncture and Chinese medicine in the cancer center. And even more, Harvard Medical School, Dana-Farber Cancer Center in Harvard Medical School, they also provide acupuncture as a top one for their service. So all the cancer centers in the United States, particularly well-known one, they all provide. So you can see acupuncture, we call accessibility, then available for different hospitals for the patient. So more and more than all the medical, the clinical guidelines to guide the physician for treatment. So they put lots of guidelines, over 40 different guidelines. So the guideline numbers change from time to time. If more evidence, they put more guidelines support the use of acupuncture. For example, low back pain, neck pain, and for cancer, disorder, breast cancer, disorder, many. You can search find out. This means physician, when they deal with the patient, they will in this kind of patient, they would refer patient to the acupuncture treatment. So now is the time for break. So I think I start 5 minutes after 8, so I can exactly 50 minutes. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Law. We have 10 minutes break, so everybody can prepare the question on the chat room. So Dr. Chen, you can.
Yeah, we are going to have a 10 minutes break at this time. And during the break, the event hosts will give us an introduction about themselves and their products. So please stay tuned to support our hosts. And the tech staff will play video from Tianjiang, Treasure of the East, and Hero Now.
Welcome to our distinguished guests. On behalf of Tianjiang Pharmaceutical, I would like to express my gratitude to all the experts, scholars, and practitioners who are participating in this event. Tianjiang's traditional Chinese medicine extract granules have been available in the United States for 28 years through the efforts of our U.S. distributor, Treasure of the East. We are honored to be recognized and trusted by American traditional Chinese medicine experts and practitioners. Tianjiang Pharmaceutical Company Limited is affiliated with Sinopharm, which is a Fortune 500 company. Tianjiang Pharmaceutical is a benchmark enterprise for the standardization, modernization, and internationalization of traditional Chinese medicine. Since its establishment in 1992, Tianjiang Pharmaceutical has always been committed to the research and development and the production and sales of traditional Chinese extract granules. We are the pioneer and leader of China's traditional Chinese medicine extract granule industry. Tianjiang TCM extract granules are the first choice of China's top AAA level TCM hospitals and is used by more than 70% of provincial TCM hospitals in China. The products are also exported to more than 30 countries in Europe, America, Oceania, Africa, Asia, and South America. Tianjiang Pharmaceutical is GMP certified by the China FDA and has been certified by the International Standards Organization for Quality Management, Environmental Management, Laboratory and Calibration, and Health and Safety, corresponding to ISO 9001, ISO 14001, ISO 17025, and ISO 45001 series of standards. Tianjiang passed US FDA CGMP quality standard inspection, Australian Ministry of Health TGA certification, and international kosher and halal certifications, with full traceability from farm to bottle. Tianjiang Pharmaceutical is a champion of sustainable development of raw medicinal materials. We have built more than 110 farms compliant with Good Agricultural and Collection Practices, or GACP, in 23 provinces in order to reliably supply high-quality raw materials now and for generations to come. Tianjiang pays exceptional attention to the purity of the varieties in the authentic growing regions and to the diversity of the original medicinal material ecosystems in order to ensure the quality of raw medicinal materials, to ensure the natural ecological balance of raw medicinal materials, to protect medicinal material resources, and to avoid the depletion, endangerment, or overharvesting of authentic raw medicinal materials. Tianjiang Pharmaceutical continues to innovate traditional Chinese medicine services. We are proud to have established a cooperative development platform for specialties and diseases in conjunction with the World's Chinese Medicine Forum. As CEO, I pledge that Tianjiang Pharmaceutical will continue to support TCM experts, scholars, and practitioners alike through international academic activities of traditional Chinese medicine, like this. We are proud to support the international development and dissemination of the wealth that is traditional Chinese medicine academics. Finally, I wish this special event a great success, and all guests and participants a most rewarding and enjoyable time here. Thank you.
From the whole Treasure of the East team, thank you so much for attending and being part of this session of the World Chinese Medicine Forum. Treasure of the East is the exclusive U.S. general agent and distributor for Tianjiang Pharmaceutical. Since 1994, we have been sharing these high-quality extracts with practitioners across the United States. But some might wonder, What journey do Treasure of the East herbs go through before they reach my pharmacy shelf? You'll be pleased to know that at every step along the way, the philosophy of cleanliness, potency, and purity is at the forefront. 95% of Treasure of the East herbs begin their lives at Geo-Authentic or Dao Di farms that have a direct purchasing relationship with Tianjung. These herbs are always grown sustainably, with a focus on regenerative harvesting practices which aim to leave the land in a better state than when planting began. The remaining 5% of herbs are still either directly purchased from partnered farms or are sustainably wild harvested. Our sustainability focus in wild harvesting includes endangered flora and fauna. You'll never find tiger bone or rhino horn in our store, and all of Tianjung's sourcing practices adhere to the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora. The next step in the journey is processing, which is done as close as possible to the farm. One reason that Treasure of the East herbs are so fresh is that they are processed sometimes as close as next door to the farm where they grew. Local processing also means less fuel used transporting raw botanicals and allows for the retention of delicate essential oils which are later reintroduced during production. While our herbs are tested at every step in the process, the final quality check comes after extraction is complete. Every batch of Treasure of the East herbs is tested to make sure that our mission of providing the cleanest and purest herbs possible was accomplished. Extracts are tested for physical traits like solubility, moisture level, and appearance, as well as for heavy metal or bacterial contamination. Once Tianjung's stringent testing requirements have been fulfilled, the herbs are ready to find themselves on your pharmacy shelf and then in your patient's hands. We hope you found this look into our process enlightening. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us at herbs@treasureoftheeast.com or by phone at 607-275-9700. Treasure of the East is having a 2-day flash sale for World Chinese Medicine Forum attendees. Get 20% off bone and joint essentials on Tuesday and Wednesday the 20th and 21st with code PEARLS2022 at checkout.
The only opportunity to earn the Disciple Certificate from Traditional Chinese Medicine Master Heritage Center of Zhiqiangguo. Traditional Chinese Medicine Master Heritage Center of Zhiqiangguo and Heal Wunao International Integrative Medicine Education Center co-organized guidance from top infertility expert, head of Zhiqiangguo Traditional Medicine Heritage Center, Bi Qingwang.
非常难得的有名师王碧琴老师亲自指导授课
sharing 40 years of clinical experience.
他的循循善诱，娓娓道来，将非常专业的妇科知识剖析的通俗易懂又深入浅出。
Iconic clinical coaching and targeted elite training.
他的这个教学啊，不像以前就是公开课，像2-3个小时或3-4个小时就讲完哈，就是对我们的平常的一些案例的分析啊，各种的很深入，而且讲他思路，而不是就是给个答案，对吧？就是这对大家的提高都是非常明显的。我自己受益很深，我自己就讲了一个病例，也从中给病人的一些继续的开方有很深的指导。
Integration of traditional and modern medicine.
刚才我说的，泌乳素最好监测在早晚不期上午的9到11点，最好不要超过11点。刚才其中
Focusing on practical skills improvements for infertility treatments.
现在已经在学习的过程中已经开始应用了王碧琴主任郭志强老师的虚化疗法的经验，然后我们也看到了很好的反馈，我们也看到了病人的治疗效果。妇科医生、不孕不育的医生也经常会推荐更多的病患来到我们诊所来进行用我们的个中医的疗法、天然的疗法来治疗，这是一个非常好的一个开始。
When you successfully complete the program, you'll receive Disciple Certificate from Traditional Chinese Medicine Master Heritage Center of Zhiqiangguo, as well as 14 PDA credits. This training has already been recognized in China as an elite training program, critical for professional growth, as well as significantly elevating trainees' professional standing in the TCM field. Positions are very limited. Please contact us.
Okay. We will now begin the second half of the class. Remember, the sign sheet will be sent in the chat box during this time, and accurate completion of it is required to receive your continuing education credits. Dr. Lau, please.
Okay, thank you. Oh, sorry. All right, let's continue. So we discussed the evidence and discussed the ancient development and also in the United States. But now we discuss about the mechanism of action. So let's look at this. So this is a little complicated in the every patient, okay, but I'll try to be as simple as possible. So here we have different definition of pain. The definition by International Association for Study of Pain says pain is an unpleasant sensory and emotional experience associated with either actual or potential tissue damage, or described in terms of such damage. So understand it's not only actually tissue damage, but it could be potential damage, or could it be emotional experience, not necessarily to actually tissue damage. So this is the definition. So here, early time, we already discussed lots of pain, acute and chronic pain for many years. And also prevalence in the recent survey found about 50 millions of adults, about 20% of the patients report, the population reported pain in most of the day or every day. And most common pain location is back pain, hip pain, knee pain, and foot pain. So these are the study survey published, conducted by the CDC, Center for the Disease Control. So by these authors. So this also indicated why in the United States become the opiate process, because in the pain, patients have to take the narcotic medicine or different medication to control the pain. And this also makes acupuncture more useful than without side effect. So then pain also can be categorized as a somatic pain, somatogenic pain, and the psychogenic pain. So two different types. But then somatogenic pain is more usually known very clear, and you can see where the body. But they also have two different types. One is called nociceptive pain, and the other one called neuropathic pain. Neuropathic pain typically is like a nerve pain, like a trigeminal neuralgia from sciatica. Okay, nociceptive, like before I mentioned about the rheumatoid arthritis, could be the nociceptive pain. But very often they could be mixed. Psychogenic pain is a pain which is a known physical cause, or sometimes because of prolonged pain from acute then become chronic, long time. So mainly because the sensitive information in the central nervous system is disturbed. So this they cannot identify exactly because they're chronic. Then if we talk about these two more detail, is that the nociceptive pain associated with tissue damage or inflammation, so called inflammatory pain. Then nociceptive pain is a result of the peripheral or central nerve system damage. But very often these can be mixed together. So then in terms of the time, they're called acute pain and chronic pain. So acute pain is really a protective mechanisms of the human to alert individual. If you have seen the danger or the harm, you'll be avoid yourself from the danger. So you protect yourself. So usually onset very sudden, very occur. So we touch something very painful, we can avoid. So chronic pain is persistent and could be intermittent, lasting over, definition is lasted 6 months. However, in certain disease, like lower back pain, considered 3 months. If you have 3 months of lower back pain, considered as a chronic pain, chronic lower back pain. So chronic pain is gradually developed. Okay, it's not. They also patient often feels hopelessness and helplessness, and also depression could occur. for these patients. So these patients not only treat the pain, we often the Western medicine doctor give the antidepressant for the pain control. So here the quick review of the central nervous system. We have cortex, receive the perceived pain sensation, and all the pain sensory from spinal cord all the way to the for the cortex. Then we have different segments, which is cervical segment, thoracic, lumbar, and sacral. So here dermatome, which are linked to different it's called sections. So then all the pain from hand, from foot can through the dermatome to the central nervous system from dorsal ganglia, dorsal horn ganglia, dorsal ganglia to transmit pain sensation or the sensory sensation to the central nervous system for the brain. So here you can central nervous system, you can see lots of receptor to sense different sensation, not only pain, the sensation, Meissner's capsule and Markos capsule, all different. They can either some sense the pressure, some the sense of touch, some sense of the temperature, some the cold temperature, some the warm temperature, and also. Then also the pain sensation using nociceptive, nociception from pain. So these sensory nerve ending in the body will go to the cell body in the called dorsal root ganglia outside of the spinal cord. Then they will send the signal to the dorsal horn of the spinal cord. Dorsal horn either go a couple level up, then cross over, or direct cross over to the other side and reflect the other side of the brain, and you feel pain. So this is a typical sensory we perceive the sensation. So here the autonomic system, we have the mainly have sympathetic chain and parasympathetic nerve in the mainly in the tense cranial nerve, okay, vagus nerve to control all the internal organs. In summary of the acupuncture pain can summarize into, so far the research show that the couple theory and the mechanisms involved. One is a descending inhibitory effect. Okay, acupuncture can trigger the body's induced descending inhibitory effect. Also the well-known gate control theory. Okay, I will explain to you one by one. So, and another one called endogenous opioid mechanisms, which is beta endorphin, for example, very commonly discussed. Then also other than beta endorphin, there's many other neurotransmitters also involved. So basically there's three neurotransmitter endorphin together, okay, three mechanisms. So the first one I want to mention, descending inhibitory effect. So descending inhibitory effect exists in the human body. It has nothing to do with acupuncture. It's the system that the body protect ourselves. This is the typical chart you can see. If we see the blue color line down there, the nociceptive nerve ending. So that part, if you have the nociception, harmful noxious stimulation to your hand or foot, or cut your hand or burn your foot, then you will send pain signal through the dorsal ganglia into the dorsal horn. Then change in the dorsal horn, change the neuron, change one cell. Okay, then they cross over to other side. Okay, then go up in the middle brain. In the brain side, they change in another neuron, and the third neuron will project into the cortex. Then the patient will feel pain. Then meanwhile, which is the red line, is the protective mechanism. The pain will trigger the protective mechanisms. The patient everybody, human, will produce called descending. Descending means to go down. The red line goes down. So send a signal downwards to the spinal cord. And here, the spinal cord, they can, in this frontal medulla area, they can block the pain signal here. They not allow the pain signal to go further up. They block there. Okay, then they also can go down to the spinal cord, the original same segment of the pain for your cervical segment or your lumbar segment or any segment. They can directly block the pain signal here to interfere. Okay, it's sometimes we call pre-synaptic synaptic inhibition. So then the pain won't be go furthermore. Okay, so when we experience, if you cut your skin, the finger or burn, few minutes later, don't feel much pain. Everybody should have the same experience. You don't have to take medicine, just your body can tolerate much better because this descending inhibitory system works. Then what acupuncture do? Acupuncture really facilitate this in descending inhibitory. It increase the descending, become strongly to block the pain. So that's how acupuncture works. Then second theory called gate control theory. Gate control theory many years ago, 1950s, by Von Melzack, they developed a theory. They think in the body they have different fibers for the conduct different sensory. Okay, then the small fiber, okay, C fibers and A delta fiber. I come with you. I will discuss all these fibers later. So C fiber is very small and A delta fiber small. These mainly transmit the noxious stimulation. See, not pain, for example, heart, or the puncturing the throat, or the noxious stimulation we call pain. So this pain will transmit, go all the way to the spinal cord and go to the brain. So then we perceive the pain sensation, okay, the pain signal. Then another group of the fiber, bigger fiber, A alpha fiber, A beta fiber. You can see larger peripheral nerve fibers. But these fibers not transmit the pain sensation. They only transmit the non-pain, like rubbing, massage, acupuncture as well. But they didn't say that. But the acupuncture also could be the stimulated A alpha and A beta fiber. So what's happened if you massage them, if a pain signal here, if you look at the right side, when you have down there pain, if a small fiber, which is A delta and C fiber, excited, then the signal will go down, go up here, light up, the gate opens, see, go up to the brain, you feel pain. Okay, so then if the larger fiber stimulate, larger fiber will inhibit the smaller fiber here. So this is called inhibitory neuron. So large fiber will send a signal to inhibitory and also transmissional cell in the spinal cord area. Okay, so then these signal will be inhibit, block the signal from the red line, from the noxious stimulation, block them here. So close the gate, called gate control. The gate closed. Then no longer the red line, the noxious sensation, sensory will go up anymore. They blocked here. So then your question may be why the green fiber can block the red fiber. Okay, not the other way. Okay, because larger fiber had more stronger. They have larger speed, quick speed, and thicker fiber. They're more strong to overcome the small fiber. Okay. If I have two fibers together, the strong one is overcome the small one. Same as if you use the same the example is like electric power. If we have a bigger cable to conduct electricity, okay, compared to the small electric wire at home, of course, the bigger fire is stronger, right? So same idea. If I have water, same thing. If a bigger tube with a strong water compared to small tube, of course, the bigger tube has stronger power because it's the same idea, same reason that in the bigger fiber inhibit the small fiber. So now we talk about acupuncture. Then acupuncture really want to stimulate A alpha beta fiber and A beta fiber, then to inhibit. If we cause the pain for a patient, then the treatment won't be effective. If we cause the pain for the patient, it's the take-home message and we later. So you only stimulate the painful fiber to against the pain. So not as powerful as you stimulate A alpha, A beta fiber. Okay, we'll discuss them later, a few minutes. So here, different size of the fiber. A alpha fiber you can see much thicker. So diameter, micrometer, is 13 to 20 micrometer. So A beta fiber, a little thinner, but still thick, 6 to 12 micrometer diameter. And A delta fiber, 1 to 5 micrometer. And C fibers, 2.2 to 1.5 micrometer diameter. Also the speed different, say 80 to 120 meter per second in the A alpha. So A beta 35, 75, and A delta 5, 35 meter per second, and C fiber only 0.5 to 2 meter per second. So speed is slow, and activity is much strong in the bigger fiber. Also, they have yellow color. Yellow color is myelin, the outside the cover. So the C fiber doesn't have the myelin the sheets called Schwann cell outside. So they much slow. Next slide will show you the call action potential. So from one cell to another cell, or from one place of the five to another one, they through the potential action potential. Okay, action potential from the chemicals. This with more detail. So if you shoot the potential action, then we stimulate the second one, then the neighborhood one, the next one, and next one. So next picture show you this. If you see the myelin, the fibers, they have the gray color. If you see color, let me use the spots make clear. Okay. So the gray color, you can see the gray color is Schwann cell, which is also myelinated. So the conductivity from one jump to another one, But the C fibers, they're very slow from one action potential, then stimulate the next neighboring region, show another action potential, then one by one, they transmit the sensation from one place to another place. So then you can see why bigger fiber jumps so quick. So down there, I can see the correlation between the conductivity, velocity, how fast, how many millimeter per second to the size of the fibers. So down there, I have group 4 C fibers, bottom, and the upper one have bigger fibers, like myelin fiber. Okay, group 1 A alpha fiber, A delta fiber. Also, so they're much faster and stronger. So then how they nerve from another nerve, how they send signal from, we discussed earlier, in the same nerve, conduct from the action potential, go one by one. But how they, in the end of the nerve, they can send the signal to another nerve, okay? Because in the efferent from outside to inside, they have 3 neurons, okay? 3 nerves connect continuously. So this is how we look at called neural synapse. Synapse means that if you enlarge this area here, you can have space between the first neuron, okay? They are impulse, okay? Axon hooked with the next neuron in the body, cell body. So what they do is in the second neuron, they have a receptor. In the first neuron, release lots of chemicals we call neurotransmitters. And we enlarge it. See this example. So this second neuron is the first one. The first one go down there, they will release lots of like ACH, norepinephrine, dopamine, 5-serotonin, all this neurotransmitter release into space called synapse. Then these second neuron will be open receptor to take this. When they take receptor, then they will activate this neuron. The neuron will be also have the action potential. They go another one by one. So then there's also very complicated interneuron. Interneuron, between the neuron, they have neuron interfere this neuron. See this neuron, the green color, they have synapse with the first neuron. They can send signal chemicals to this neuron to tell the neuron to shut off this the release of the chemical. Okay, they call presynaptic inhibition. Okay. So acupuncture mainly to stimulate this neuron, to inhibit the neuron to send signal. Acupuncture also can stimulate this neuron, the blue neuron. They send both, can send the signal to the second neuron and send signal to first neuron. Ask the first neuron to stop release chemical here and tell the second neuron decrease, don't accept and receptor, close the receptor. Only spend. So the signal will stop here. They cannot go further. So that's how they function in the physiology. So then they through the area they go to, how we research know. So we know actually the fibers, they're mainly in the dorsal horn, which is they're laminin. Laminin is laminin 1, 2, 3, 4. Laminin 1 is very shallow, very close to the outside and deeper and deeper. So then we find out in the laminin 1, in the A delta C fiber, laminin 1 and 2, A delta C fiber. And the A beta and bigger fiber, they in many deep neuron. So if you look at this, so when you see that the research we used in the can have the animal, for example, they can have expression. We can show the protein called C-phos protein. They express if they're pain, this neuron being activated. Then we show the protein there. You can use the dye to show the color of the protein. If we don't have pain, the protein will gone. And if you use acupuncture stimulation, you stimulate the A beta, A alpha, then this area, you show the protein expression. So that means that how we know how acupuncture works. So this we call, because of time limit, I cannot go more slides for the research, basic science, but just let you know. So this really involved the translational research. What it means translational research? Every research you conduct a lab, we have to use in clinical usage. So bench to bedside, B2B, right? Then this what we mean to us is that take home message is you want to stimulate the patient treatment with gentle technique. Do not hurt patient. So don't be too harmful to patient, which is not be effective because you only excite stimulate the small fiber, which is C fibers, because these fibers transmit the pain sensation. You want to stimulate it gently and to excite, maximize the effect of the A alpha, A beta fiber, which is non-pain fiber, to inhibit the pain fiber. So this take from image. All right. So then these are a couple neurotransmitters that I want to show I'll show already. This another picture. Oh, I'm not going to go this. Neurotransmitters, lots of neurotransmitters. The substance P and actually beta endorphin is commonly we discussed, but actually more than beta endorphin. Many, because beta endorphin is mostly widely studied, researched. If we research something, you find this. If we research other stuff, they're also involved, all involved. These are also two different types. One is excitatory neurotransmitter, one is inhibitory neurotransmitter. They both can to decrease the pain, okay, for pain management. So then also the summary paper we published by Dr. Zhang and me together, and we published in 2014. So we summarize all research in previous research, which find out lots of animal model used for mimic the human pain condition, which is inflammatory pain model, cancer pain model, we have visceral pain, abdominal visceral pain model, like IBS, okay, and neuropathic pain model, like sciatic nerve model. Then we find all these research show acupuncture can effectively inhibit the pain in all these models. No matter what model they published, they all can inhibit. And so this is the summary of the findings for the persistent pain. I will not discuss the cancer pain or the neuropathic pain or visual pain. We don't talk about the inflammatory pain only here. That's why my lab mainly work on this part. So then you can see all three levels. The needling site in this local area, if you have local pain, shoulder pain, you put needle in shoulder area, you have a local effect. Okay. Then you have local peripheral endorphin, and we have the cytokine like COX-1, COX-2, and interleukin-1. All these cytokines are involved. Then also spinal cord level, okay. Then also descending inhibitory effect, like a descending inhibitory effect I mentioned earlier. So this is from the nuclear from the brain. Okay, this brain send the signal for the norepinephrine. This send the signal for the serotonin, for ref, the nuclear in the middle brain. So then also in the cortex level, they also have the function called anterior singular cortex. they also affect this area. Okay, so all level acupuncture insertion, they have pain sensation, and acupuncture stimulate peripheral nerve, as I mentioned earlier, go down, up. They go to brain, they send the inhibitory, and also meanwhile, same level, they have a level of the gate control theory. So here in the picture, acupuncture not only for the pain, but also stimulate the hypothalamus to stimulate the activate the hypothalamus pituitary adrenal circuit, like a feedback. So then they stimulate the hypothalamus stimulate the pituitary release ACTH in the circulation. Then the circulation goes to the kidney area, which is above the kidney adrenal, and release corticosteroids. So then circulated to the painful or inflammation site. So that's why acupuncture can decrease the inflammation. Okay, then also meanwhile, acupuncture can inhibit all different levels locally, as mentioned. That's why the treatment always local treatment, distal treatment. They have central nervous system involved and also local involvement. So you have the gate control theory here, and have spinal cord layer. They have the locus cochlearis and the nuclear ref max. This send signal descending inhibitory effect down to the spinal cord, decrease pain. Okay, so multiple area by all the research paper have been published. This is summary of all the research paper. So in summarize, there are three major mechanisms of acupuncture. So it's easy for you to understand. So simplify. Okay, the first one, descending inhibitory effect. Acupuncture can stimulate the peripheral sensory nerve, which is projected into central nervous system, and trigger the activate the descending inhibitory effect down there. So then the spinal cord pain decreased, blocked. And gate control theory, acupuncture stimulate the peripheral nerve, large intestine 4, whatever points to treat, stimulate larger peripheral central nervous system, and send signal to spinal cord. Then the spinal cord trigger the gate control theory in some level before it even goes to the brain, in the spinal cord level, to inhibit the send signal from the interneuron, send signal to the C small fiber to stop the pain. Close the gate, so locked gate. The third one is in different levels, in peripheral level and central nerve system, acupuncture can release our neurotransmitter, central or local, and these transmitter can decrease pain. So the pain signal won't go up anymore. So this is the major mechanisms of acupuncture for the pain. Okay. So then for the practical part, I know many of you are acupuncturists, so we want to know how this translate into the clinical practice. So several ways. So it tells you, you not only use distal points. So distal point works out well. Like if you have lower back pain, if you don't need back pain, don't put a needle in the back, you put the large intestine 4, you may also can decrease pain because from central nervous system, descending inhibitory effect. But that local also have effect. If you put needle in locally, you have a double effect. You have the central effect and local effect, both together. So usually the first layer of treatment, if you come up with the treatment protocol proposed for treated patient, you always consider these layers. The first layer, you come up with points, is a local point or chief complaint points. Chief complaint not necessarily local. For example, people have insomnia. It's not really local. Local is the mind, right? So you have the major points to treat them. So the layer 2 is considered distal points along the meridians. It's the second layer of the treatment. The third layer, you address the constitutional issue. The patient not only have low back pain, they maybe also have the sleep disorder. They may also have the liver cheese stagnation. You can address this issue, but this issue may not associate with the low back pain, not linked together, but there's the patient constitutional status you can also address. Sometimes patients have another symptoms they call symptom management. For example, patient have pain, the low back pain, then after a couple of treatment, one day they come, oh, yesterday I injured my little finger. I play sports, for example. So you can treat this, but you do not compromise the major treatment here. So this for layer is on what I design my protocol, and not too many points, about 10, 15 points and maximum. Okay, 10 points more appropriate. Balance from all different parts of the body. Okay, last part is we have good time. The last part is that we discuss the challenge in research. Because why some of the audience asked the question about the Medicare coverage. Why not cover for the acupuncture treatment? They only cover for medical doctor or the nurse, right? Who train in acupuncture. So why not acupuncturist? So because still debate in the mainstream, the Western medical doctor, whoever in the regulatory agent, they still have a debate. Some research still show negative study. Not every research, as I showed you, acupuncture better than control. Some studies show acupuncture no better than control, and no difference. So then this we have to understand why. It doesn't mean that does it mean acupuncture not work or mean something else? Then we discuss why some studies show acupuncture no better than control. So if you look at the large study in Germany, if you see, they find out low back pain, 300 people, and they have 8-week treatment. A means acupuncture treatment. M is minimal acupuncture. They put very shallow. And WL is weight control. Weight, that means no treatment. So they find acupuncture no difference with sham acupuncture, the insertion shallowly, but better than no treatment. So here say this also acupuncture better than both, okay? But the 26 weeks, no difference. Then this study for headache, migraine headache, acupuncture, no difference with minimal acupuncture, but better than no treatment. Then the headache, tension headache, acupuncture also similar, see similar, no difference between acupuncture and sham acupuncture, but better than no treatment. So this another group of study, also even larger sample size, 900 people, 1,000 people for arthritis. They also find acupuncture no difference with minimal acupuncture, but better than standard care. SC means standard Western medical care. So this brings up the issue that how we interpret the data, how we interpret acupuncture really work or not. So then we have to look at the challenge of acupuncture research. There's many challenges. One is how to design adequate control. What is the best control? Because if we have a control of effective, then you should know difference between acupuncture and control. So you want to find adequate control, which has no effect. The inert should be inert, like a placebo pill. Then how to blind the patient, also issue difficult, because needling people will feel the needle, right? Also the difficult blind patient, and also cannot be very difficult for double blind because the acupuncturist must know what the points they use. And also difficult for the concealment, which is surrounding research staff, like a nurse or research staff, they know which one. It's very difficult. And also very difficult to determine the targeting disorder, okay? It's unlike the Western medicine, very clear diagnosis by certain criteria. So this is also difficult. And also quality control for acupuncture also difficult. Different schools, different experience, all have different practical experience with the treatment. So you cannot provide exactly the same treatment for every patient if you employ more than one acupuncturist. Everybody have different. This unlike the medicine in drug, they can control every pills very same, exactly same amount, same color, same appearance. But the acupuncture treatment vary from people to people. But these are all challenges. This doesn't mean we can overcome this challenge, but we have to recognize, we have to understand the challenge. Okay. So usually what we explain that if you want to the treatment show acupuncture works, the treatment must be over the average, 50, if we say 50%. So the control must be low, if we this way, okay? And P very small than 0.5. But if you want to see the both no effective, acupuncture and treatment both no effective, okay? But also could be they both considered as not effective. So both effective, but in the Western medicine consider if acupuncture no difference with control group means the negative study, means the acupuncture does not work. But actually it does not mean acupuncture does not work. is because their control group works well. There's no difference. So that's how it comes. Okay. So let's look at example. If we look at the paper we just showed you earlier, you see these two lines show compared to usual care significant difference. But if we want to compare acupuncture, electric acupuncture, and auricular acupuncture, what's better? No difference. You can see no difference. Okay, because both effective, both improve from the level of pain 5 to down to 3. See, both improved. Another study we can see, the HeartFresh study. From here down there, 36% improvement for acupuncture group, but the no treatment group, there's no difference, right? You can see improved here. So this study considered positive study because they don't have sham control acupuncture compared to the no treatment group. Okay. And then next study is by another group in Australia. They consider negative study, but actually results the same. You can see this 30% improvement from 0 down to minus 35, right? 35, 36, see it? From baseline. This one, see, for 25 down to 15. It's 40% improve. If you calculate percentage, 40% more improvement compared to this one. 40% improvement. But why the conclusion of study says no effect? Because the sham control also have same effect. So that means acupuncture does not work. Is the sham control you select, it works so well. It can same as the real treatment. That's the reason why. We understand what means negative study. So if we summarize, there's very interesting pattern in my recent published paper in my group in Hong Kong. If you compare the treatment with acupuncture to the no treatment, compared to no treatment as control group, you have 80% of the paper we found from total of 51 papers, 80% paper positive. Okay. Only 2 papers negative. But if you compare the control group as non-insertion sham, the needle not insert to the body, they have the 53% decreased success, means positive, and they have still have some negative study. But if we compare the sham, insertion sham, put it somewhere in the body, then they have 37% of positive study, and 20% the more the 54 negative study. You see, the control you selection make the outcome different. Okay, this same thing as this study, they compare the sham acupuncture and acupuncture, so no different. They all improved. See, from baseline all improved, but both improved, no difference between these two. So then you should now know how to interpret study. So now the NIH, last slide, I want to show NIH. The NIH, National Institute of Health, they have a National Center for Complementary Integrative Health. They have a research funding. They give the money for research, but now they set a high priority research and low priority. So that means they encourage some study in the first high priority. They said they want to encourage people to do the programmatic study, address whether acupuncture can be incorporated into clinical pain management strategy, and also to address the question, does a comprehensive pain management approach, including availability of acupuncture, can improve pain management and reduce opioid use? So this addressed the issue with nationwide opioid crisis. Then the study they don't want to submit, the lower priority is that they strongly discourage the research compared to sham acupuncture, compared to individuals utilize the acupuncture to the standard acupuncture. This study they said not necessary to submit. So this the more recent published their position in funding. Okay, thank you very much, and then open for questions.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Liao. You have prepared a wonderful lecture for us from a clinic trial and the basic research part, very detailed, give a lot of information. So we are very severely over time already. So we just pick a couple of questions. First question is, what is the best acupuncture treatment and the protocol for treating menopausal or indeficiency frozen shoulder, this condition is very hard to treat. So Dr.
Okay,
Liao,
the menopause and shoulder pain. Okay, the shoulder pain, if you with the menopause, we have to think this frozen shoulder, right? Frozen shoulder we also call 50 shoulder, means the age of 50s, around the menopause time, you have frozen shoulder. So then first of all, we understand, still unknown reason, but people believe this must be associated hormone, declining of hormone. Men and women, they both could have this 50 shoulders. Then the treatment, mainly we want to decrease the pain, to increase the mobility, increase the motion, range of motion shoulder. So usually this patient with a frozen shoulder, because of the pain, the patient don't want to move. They do not move the shoulder. When they the shoulder stay still, then all the tissue in the shoulder adhesive together, they stick together, become frozen. So the early stage is very important. Early stage treatment, the decreased pain to encourage the patient to open the shoulder joint, so prevent the adhesive. And for chronic shoulder pain, you have to do is increase treatment and also apply the Chinese massage, Tuina, to manually open the shoulder joint. That's the best.
Okay, the same related question. What points do you typically use for the shoulder pain or frozen shoulder?
Yeah, shoulder pain regularly. If acute stage, you can use the like a Tiaokou, which is stomach 38. These points, right? Then you can ask the patient to raise the arm same time. So this time we the mechanism is send a signal to brain to have descending inhibitory effect. So the pain decreased, the patient able to raise the arm. So then as soon as you open the arm joint, it's success. Then you can ask a patient lay down, do the local treatment. You can large intestine 15, large intestine 14, and also it depends on where. So one of the common issue in the early stage, they have arch point in the scapular coracoid process, coracoid process in front of shoulder area. Very often you see the tenderness there. This is the attachment of the short head of the biceps. So this often, so you can treat this points. If very sensitive, usually you have a very good effect.
Also, some related question, Dr. Liao. If you use the stomach 38, you use the same side of the pain or opposite this point?
I think either side depends on you. Depends the other side called liao. Liao means the upside, right? The same side is similar, but could be used other side. But if you understand what I said earlier about the maximus, you send signal to the brain, you send a descending inhibitory effect.
Okay, the other question, why do you use the DO-24 for the rheumatoid arthritis? I think that's from the lecture, the case.
Oh, okay. If you look at it, the patient not only have pain, but also have the accompanying symptom. The patient have anxiety, anxious, right? Acne, very nervous about their academic study, have a lot of examination. So they cannot sleep well. If you look at the chart, it says there are lots of symptoms. So these address other issue, constitutional issue. So this, as mentioned, they have different layer. Local treatment and long meridians also address the constitutional issue. And
okay,
also I treated the menstruation disorder, the irregular, make the menstruation regular.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Liao. The next question is any direct relation in acupuncture treatment management between the age related? For example, the younger people have better results, older one have less effective.
Yes, that's very obvious. Younger people have more effective. So understand the acupuncture, the nature of acupuncture is not like a medicine. Medicine, you give medicine into the body, right? So acupuncture just stimulation, only stimulate. There's no chemical into the body. So you trigger the body's response. So the more younger people, they have more to respond. And older people, everything declined. Qi and blood all decline. They have less response. So you need more treatment for elderly people. For example, I treat lots of sports like a Raven football team, or was under under the University of Maryland at that time. They usually one time, which very severe injury from the sports game, they come back 1 or 2 treatment, they recover very quickly. For elderly people, you need more treatment.
Also, one question. For example, in our clinic, the patient, some patients come a very long-term treatment. Sometimes we have come 4 years, 3 years to our clinic to get the acupuncture treatment. If the long-term acupuncture treatment cause any like tolerance, reduce the acupuncture treatment effect?
Good question. Good question. So tolerance actually have different. Lots of research has shown that that will build up the tolerance. In the animal studies, if we give the stimulation every 5 minutes, very close, then after a while, don't respond anymore. The first 5 minutes works. If we give another treatment 10 minutes again, then better. Then after 30 minutes, then same response. Then no more response. They tolerate because your body is neurotransmitters and also the endorphin deplete, all used up. You cannot produce more. That's one of the reasons. But however, in long term, this sort of definition is not only the term long term, it's more frequency. If we treat a patient every day for 2 years, of course, you get tolerance. Patient cannot respond anymore. But if you, like my patient, one headache patient, he came here to me, headache gone, but he always come to me once a month for maintenance, for health. Every month, one treatment 1 month. And actually, he said he's a medical insurance company happy because he did not go to Western medical doctor as often as before. So because just for maintenance. But if we have some illness coming up, he can make appointment for more frequent treatment. So frequent of treatments is very important for dosage of the acupuncture.
Okay, thank you very much. One more question. Great to see the electrostim for the colitis. Could you suggest some the point for the this kind of patient colitis treatment?
For the which problem?
Colitis.
Right.
结肠炎.
Colitis? Oh,
结肠炎.
okay. Oh, 结肠. Okay. So this is the abdominal disorders. So the points is same when you select points. Like we usually for the GI, so spleen deficiency or large intestine problem, then use large STAM 25. Okay, or sometimes you can use the spleen number 15. You can see many other points. Okay, the leg you can use the stomach 37 for the lower Hersey point of stomach or the large intestine, right? So this is the same. The points with or without electrostimulation, you still have the same point selection. But where you connect the points is that you, based on what your thinking process, you think which points are most important. If you think stomach 25 is the most important, you hooked with stomach 25. If you think stomach 37 is more important, you hook with stomach 37. So you select. If your machine only have two leads, you select the 2. If a machine 4 leads, you maybe can select 2 more. But I not suggest you put the electrostimulation for every point you put the needle there. So select the major points.
Any detail, the point?
The stomach 30, I mentioned earlier, stomach 25, which is front move point of the large intestine. Front move point, the 2 turn lateral to the umbilicus, and stomach 37. Lower Hersey point of large intestine. This is the major points you can use. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Points you also can use.
Okay, one more question. You mentioned in your lecture the motion acupuncture very effective to treat the acute pain. What about the chronic pain? The motion acupuncture still work well?
Not really. So let me tell you why acute lower back pain needed to use the motion. The acute lower back pain, lots of possibilities. One of the possibility very common for lots of pretty young adults or maybe middle-aged adults. When they play sports, okay, they twist their spine. So when they twist spine, the joint, facet joint, they turn around. When turn around, the membrane outside the facet, a small joint, we clipped into the joint, press there. So when this clipped, this because these membranes very rich with the nerve endings. When clipped, very painful. So they stay there, they cannot move at all. So what we usually do is in the TCM, very commonly we use, you put a needle distally, don't put a needle in the local, because local muscle so tight, you cannot put a needle there, because muscle spasm. Depends on which side. If with the pain in the middle side, you use 2 meridians. Sometimes you can use the in tongue, you even can use the 226 人中. Okay, this is the point. If for the side, you can use the like a 腰通 in the hand to manipulate. Then same time, ask patient to move around, move the bend their joint, increase the range of motion gradually. So when you, if you understand the lecture early, we send signal to the brain send in descending inhibitory signal to the local area to decrease pain. When the pain decreased, the patient able to move, open the joint. When the joint open, this no longer clips on the memory go back to normal position. So they no longer clip there. So then pain gone. So sometimes one treatment, patient just walk in then without any pain. So if this case, of course, some other illness, you cannot use this. So for example, you have an acute injury for disc herniation, for sciatic nerve, then might be difficult because the mechanism is different. It depends on what kind of back pain. For chronic pain, not the issue. Chronic is usually either most likely chronic lower back pain is because of the arthritis. Okay, arthritis, or you not treated well, become arthritis. Okay, the joint or disc, not disc, necessarily disc herniation, arthritic condition or degenerative change. So these are different. So you cannot use the same method for chronic low pain.
Okay, Dr. Liao, you mentioned the long-term treatment with acupuncture can produce some tolerance. How can we reduce the effect tolerance in the long-term acupuncture treatment?
Okay, it could be, yes, could be. If some patient, okay, there's another, I didn't answer earlier, a lot of possibility. If a patient come here long-term, not much improvement after a while, then you have to think of some other reasons, not just acupuncture only. So several reasons. One maybe is disease severity. If for some disease is very severe, okay, you maybe need a further intervention. For example, you need to collaborate with the conventional medical doctor to work together to maybe look at the MRI or the test, image test, find some other issues. Okay, so if it's too severe, for example, if you have a bone spur from arthritis, the bone spur directly cut into the nerve, then acupuncture cannot make the bone back, right? We already know. But usually if the bone spur depress the surrounding tissue, causes tissue inflammation, the tissue depress on nerve, then it works because it can make the inflammation decrease. So one thing you have to find out, you have to refer patient to physician to find out what the disease might have. Is the one. Number two is some patient may be a non-responder. The research show about 15% of patients never responded to acupuncture treatment. Even research, Han Ji-sen, Professor Han Ji-sen, he's pioneer of the research. He never responded to acupuncture treatment himself, right? Because the CCK, when the neurotransmitter too high in the body. This also, then the treatment, they used something that depressed, decreased the CCK to make it work. So you have to think more detail, not just frequency or sometimes you, for disease like a spinal cord injury or some more severe disease, you may want to use different approach. For example, not only just manual acupuncture, you maybe use electrical stimulation. Sometimes you use the cupping technique. Okay, use a different technique to help the patient.
Okay, thank you. One more question. The one disorder called fibromyalgia, very popular in American. All body pain, we don't know the cause. Patient have depression, poor sleep, old body pain. Any acupuncture new development for this disorder?
I think there was some study published in George Washington University. They find a paper. Then they showed that acupuncture really helped But the sham control, if they compare sham control, they're both effective. Okay, so you can say that in the literature they show acupuncture can help the patient, but I have not seen the high quality, like larger, like JAMA or the high. Some small studies show acupuncture can help. Yeah. But from my personal experience, the patient is difficult. Number one is they're sensitive. They cannot tolerate a needle well because they body pain everywhere. If you put a needle, particularly if we don't use the very thin, very gentle stimulation, if you patient very easy to get irritated, they feel, okay, so they're very important. If you patient feel hurt, then it's very difficult to continue study. Every point they feel painful. Okay, this is the one you have to be very, very careful. Use very thin needle. Start with the feel needle, then gradually you can increase the needle. Okay, that's number one. Number two, this is a patient we know lots of patients associated with insomnia. Okay, but insomnia, if a patient does not sleep well, the daytime they irritate because they sleep well. Okay, if they sleep well, they can tolerate the pain better. If they not sleep well, then they cannot tolerate pain. It's more irritated, more pain getting worse. So one approach is makes them sleep better. Okay, if we sleep better, then you treat the pain will be easier, not just focusing on pain. You have the underlying issue. Okay. Even sometimes you can use other medicine as well to help the patient sleep better.
Okay, thank you. You mentioned the sham acupuncture, right? So how we can standard the sham acupuncture, because you sometimes the acupuncture treatment and the Shen treatment same, no difference.
So this is a very good question. This this Nobel Prize questions. Nobody knows how to design sham. The reason for sham we don't know is that in the Asian literature, all the Asian doctors tell us what points works, right? They never tell you which point does not work. So we don't know from literature which points does not work. We already learn what that kind of works. So I have difficult to find the points. So the best design the study is like our team. You have to be patient. You build up the hypothesis and test the hypothesis step by step. If you rush, you want to just get the study done, most of the study will fail. So what we did is we try a couple points, show the difference between real acupuncture and sham acupuncture. And sham acupuncture not fixed, not this points sham acupuncture for this study, but not be other condition. Each condition have their own sham study. So you have to find the points that not work. Then you can employ the same method in the larger population, large clinical trials. You have to use a pilot study, we call pilot study, couple pilots to test yourself. Then you go to the larger study. Then will be lead more successful.
Okay, thank you. I think we have the last question. How do you compare the nervous system and the meridian? I think it's a great question. Also, how do you think any meridian research, the development?
Meridian research have been conducted so many years, but so far it's not much results, not much exciting. So some of them conductivity, for example, the line of the Dr. Zhu Bing, they find a certain area, they have lower conductivity compared to surrounding tissue, but this not duplicated in other places. And Ding Guanghong, professor in Fudan University in Shanghai, they find the blood circulation, micro blood vessel in the certain area. For example, in the central meridians, for example, they find a unique the activities there, but they cannot find anywhere else. So you cannot use the one local place to represent the whole body's meridian. And also the research in the United States, UCLA, Dr. Ma, he also get the research funding for the nitrous oxide. They find a certain area, the acupuncture point with more nitrous oxide. But again, this cannot be duplicated for the other part of the body, only certain part of the body. In the leg, I believe, they found some phenomena. So it's not very successful. But then most of explanation, because the meridians correlation nervous system, peripheral nervous system, because every tissue down there have central nervous system. So then the coincidence, but how they be independent or not, we still don't know. We still more research needed.
Okay, this is the last question. Okay, no more question. Dr. Liao, maybe you know the balance acupuncture, 平衡针. How about the balance acupuncture method in acupuncture related to the mechanism of acupuncture in pain mechanism theory?
Okay, first of all, the balance, the treatment that I mentioned earlier, you always have balance. So the balance I use, I don't use particular name. Balance, I usually put a needle in the different part of the body. Like in the arm, I always have some needle there. The leg has some needle. Trunk, if you face up, I put a needle in the abdomen and in the back, actually in the backside point. Then also put a needle in the head. Relevant point. So then they call balance because you make the chin blood circulate from left to right and upper lower the circulation. Okay. So then if you talk the particular balance, lots of different ideas. Same thing. You put needle there, you stimulate the nerve, and send a signal to the brain, and brain will send the descending inhibitory effect. Not only this taught the pain, but actually I didn't have a chance to discuss anything. If acupuncture can help the pain from the central nervous system, they can help the other condition like the infertility, for example, menopause, hot flush. They also same concept. They influence the brain area. The brain have different center, different nuclear, release different neurotransmitter for different purpose. So we call regulatory effect. But pain just one example, which is the most studied and widely published.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Liao. We very appreciate your answer. Also, we 1 hour, time, now 2 hours. So, Dr. Chen, please give the summary. Thank you, Dr. Liao again.
Okay. By the way, I want to mention, I emphasize, I calculate my time. I watch my timer because the starting later, so my time still is okay. I'm not over time. I just want to emphasize.
Thank you, Dr. Lau. It's so excellent lectures. So usually we had the lectures for the research mechanism and some lecture from the clinician. So you are the clinical experts in the clinical practice and also experts in the research. So that's a very unique lectures. And those two group people, they not so communicate well. That's why a lot of research outcome seems the clinician, they not satisfied. And also the research, a lot of data, the clinician now utilize. So it's very important, as you said, is B2B. Now is a bench to the bed. So like a translational medicine, it's very important of those two work together and also really promote this profession. Thank you very much. And before the conclusion, I have some announcement. So thank you for your participation, everyone. And thank you to our hosts, Tianjiang Pharmaceutical, Hero Now, and the Treasury of the East. And thank you to all the partners who helped to make the series possible. Registration is open for the rest of the Clinical Pearl series. The next class will be taught by Dr. Zhang Lan on the topic of treatment principle and clinical experiences sharing of diabetes. The date will be October 15, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So the next class link will email to you a few days before the class starts. And please reach out over website. And if you are now receiving emails from the World Chinese Medicine Forum after your registration. Thank you again and for your participation, and see you all on October 15. The This lecture is concluded. Good night, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.